Hi, this is Julian from Luminatic.com. This is the Raw Challenge Part 2, now with video. As promised, I'm going to screencast the edit I am doing. And this image is from Dennis. Thank you very much, Dennis. And this is his Yamaha YZF-R6, a super sports bike. I already photographed, it was lots of fun. And now I'm going to show how I'm editing this. I already did one edit, but I'm doing the screencast again as I forgot to say some things and I'm just too lazy to edit the video, so I just screencast and shoot the video anew. So the first thing I'm going to do is to correct the color, because obviously this is very yellowish, and I'm doing this by using this tool here, the pipette tool, I think, and I'm looking for an area in the original image that is supposed to be gray or white as a reference, and I'm telling Lightroom by this is gray, use this as your reference point, and it kind of looks good already. Perhaps a tad too blue, perhaps a little more yellow would be okay. Yeah, like this. And next thing is I want to give it a little more punch, so I'm adding some clarity, which is here, the slider. This brings out the contrasts and the lines a little bit more, but also unfortunately makes the dirt visible. This is a very dirty bike, Dennis. I think you had fun riding it, but editing it won't be that much fun. Next thing, in the lamp here, I think this is Dennis reflecting. I think you wore a blue jacket, or there is a blue garage door in the background, something like that. Anyhow, something blue, and this does not really belong here. It doesn't really look bad, but let's say I want to get rid of it. I think the best way is to try to use the color slider here. I'm selecting the blues, and now I'm only taking on the blue color tones. And as you can see, as I'm sliding back and forth, I'm taking the saturation of the blues out, and hey, it's gone just by using a slider. Everything else remains unchanged. I'm also making the blues a little lighter so that the lamps shine a little more. Yeah, that's okay. Basic things, let's see if I want to do something to the lights. Yeah, I think a little more improvement on the lights here makes the darker spots that are here in the background invisible, so I'm boosting the lights a little. Let's see if I want to boost the shadows. Nah, looks good to me. It's a black bike anyway. Okay, last thing, the dash of color we have is here. This is golden shock dampeners, and these are, I think, yellow and orange are the main colors, so I'm boosting a little bit the yellow and the saturation of the orange. If you overdo it, it looks artificial, but I think this one looks okay. Okay, so that's basically what I can do in Lightroom with this image. And now I'm going to Photoshop, because all these dirt particles and dust specks here, you can't clean them up all in Lightroom. You'll go nuts, and it's just not the right tool for the job. So let's head over to Photoshop. So edit in Photoshop CS6, that's what I'm using. Older version, but old but gold. And yeah, now the tedious work starts. The basic edit I'm going to do is, at first I will remove all the dirt specks here, all the dead insects and so on. I won't do everything perfectly, because this would just take too much time. This is supposed to be a tutorial. And after that I'm going to sharpen the image a little with a special method I'm using. So at first I am creating a new layer by clicking on this icon here. And the reason you want to work with layers is by editing something in the layers, in an extra layer, the original image stays unharmed. So anything you paint or do here, the original image always stays. This is called non-destructive editing, because you always can go back to the original version. Let's demonstrate. This is the cloning tool. I'm using this to clear away these spots here. So at first I'm hitting Alt and click on a source area, and then head over to the area you want to paint over, and the dust spot is gone. Now let's say something goes wrong and it just doesn't look right. Let's say you choose the source here and you paint here, then you see, oh, oops, this doesn't really match up because this is brighter. Now if you would have worked in the original layer, this would be it. Yeah, you could always undo it here with the history, but then you'd have altered the original image. You don't want that. So work in this layer. I'm calling this the touch up layer. Touch up. To remove the stuff. And this here is just a small piece of a photo I've painted into the touch up layer, and you can just erase it. And then the part under the photo, under the touch up layer becomes visible again. So what we want to do is always choose, when you're using the stamping tool, clone from an area that's next to it that has got the same brightness and the same texture, so that the spot that is on the bike becomes invisible. Okay, this wasn't too good, so I'm hitting Command and Z to undo, and now I'm basically working myself through this part here, through the bike, and I'm going to not to talk about this and just hit the magic time acceleration key. As you see here, I tried to remove this one but didn't succeed too well. So I just deleted the edit from the touch-up layer, and everything becomes visible again. Okay, I'm trying again. Perhaps now this time I'm using the clone tool, the healing patch tool, and see if this works better. The healing patch is an automated stuff removal tool. Doesn't really look good. Okay, let's try again, perhaps making it a little bigger. Remember, again, I do not claim to be the ultra guru in Photoshop, so what I'm showing you is the workflow I've adapted and the retouching techniques I'm using, and there will be much better ways to do this. This is just what I can offer, and I hope you can draw something out of this. Again, time acceleration. Okay, let's do a recap. What I've done so far is, oh, I see a spot here, that's not good. Oh, that's better. Okay, so far I've manually removed most of the dirt here on the bike, and this still looks dirty. Dennis, if your mind is only half as dirty as this bike, then I pray for your soul. No, I don't. Okay, jokes aside. There is another method you can use to remove scratches, and there is a filter for it. This looks fairly clean now. If I'm switching off the touch-up layer, this looks okay. So I've removed a lot of the dirt specks. Perhaps here I could still do something. This is a little disturbing, and here is something. So I could go on for hours with this, and to accelerate this a little, I am showing you now a method to use a filter. Photoshop has got a huge variety of filters you can use, and to be honest, I don't understand and I don't use every filter that is there, but I found a few ones to be very helpful, and one I'm showing you right now. There is a filter to remove dust, specks and scratches, and what this filter does, it looks for imperfections, or how you would call it, and then tries to smooth them out. And okay, now I'm doing the last manual touch-ups here, and then I hope I can can start. Okay, now let's start with the filter. And to use this filter, at first you have to make a copy of everything you see here, and this is done by hitting Command Shift and E. This merges the both layers into one layer. You select everything by Command A, Command C is copy, and then you want to do the undo the merging because you still want to have the two layers here. Then you do Command V, you paste the image, and now you have a copy, an exact copy of the underlying stuff here. So if I'm switching this on and off, nothing changes because the information in this layer and these two layers combined are exactly the same. And I'm now using this layer to apply a filter to it, which will remove some of the scratches and the specks. So I'm looking at the forks here, forks, not shock dampeners. Those are the forks. And, or this is the fork. Now I'm using the filter, and I'm using I always have to look for it. The noise filter, here it's in the noise filter menu. This is Photoshop CS6. In other Photoshop versions it might be somewhere else. And the one is called Staub und Kratzer, which is in German dust and scratches. And then this menu pops up and you can see a preview. So you can see here and in the preview when I'm putting the radius to 1, there are a lot of the specks are visible, and as the more I crank this up, the more the specks will disappear, but also everything else becomes a little blurred. So you have to use your good judgment with your eyes to find something that eliminates the spots or reduces them and does not destroy the image completely. Okay, I think let's go with this one. Okay. Now this filter has been applied to this whole layer, and of course you don't want the bike to be that unsharp, this blurred. So I'm applying a filter mask, a layer mask, not a filter mask, a layer mask. And the layer mask, this is a white layer mask, which means that everything you see in this layer is visible and nothing is transparent. Everything I paint black will become intransparent so that you can see the stuff that's lying underneath. And in this case I just want to use this part of the image, and everything else should be everything else displayed should be the stuff below, because this is the good edit we have. This is the sharp one, and here the rest I want to make invisible. So at first I'm inverting the layer mask with Command I. And now the layer mask is black, which means everything is invisible here in this layer. And I'm using a brush and white color to paint now here. Make sure the layer mask is selected and paint in the layer. Why can't I? Okay, I have to zoom in. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm zooming in, and now see what happens when I'm brushing over. This is the original image. Again, the dust removal image is here and everything is invisible, and now I'm painting in the layer mask white, and as you can see these specks disappear because now where I painted white here, the part from below the image becomes visible. I'm only painting the parts which contain dust and specks to make these either disappear or make them a little bit less dominant. Okay, these ones here I can't remove. I'd have to use the cloning tool or other methods. And now let's see what I can do to other parts of the image. Okay, let's see what happens when I paint here. Okay, it becomes also a little softer. Same here. I think here we've overdone, and that's the beautiful thing with the layer mask. Let's say you slip with the brush and then, oh, oops, I didn't want that. You can just use the erase tool and paint and erase what you've painted. So then everything you erase becomes black again, so it disappears. Okay, good. As I said, this is not the most perfect rendition of this image, so I think to get really catalog quality in your image of your bike pic, the bike has to be cleaned. So you have to clean the bike once, and then every image of the bike will be super clean. If you've got a dirty bike, you have to remove the same dust spots on every single image, and you don't want that. So clean your bike, and then you won't have so much to do in Photoshop. Well, last step is I want to do add some extra sharpness, and I'm doing this again by fusing all the layers again. Command Shift and E, Command A, Command C to copy, and now I'm undoing the layer change, the layer merge, and now I'm adding with Control V the layer, this layer now includes all the information from these layers. I'm call this the sharpening layer. And in this sharpening layer, I'm going to, sharpen. And I'm sharpening with a method, I'm using similar auxiliary or other filters, and I'm using a high pass filter. And a high pass filter only looks for the borders and lines in the image and emphasizes these. Again, you have to play around with the values. This would be, oh, he has to calculate a lot. This would be too much. Here you can see nothing. And usually I'm choosing a value at which the most important lines of the bike become visible. So this kind of looks good. Yeah, this is a little bit too much. A little bit more. Okay. Now you've got this gray image. So in order to sharpen it, you have to change the layer blending mode, which is basically the way the layers are computed into each other. And you have to use this one. And I'm sorry, I really don't know what this is in English. It's ineinander kopieren in English, in German, and it's to copy into each other. It's got another name in English, I don't know. Ineinander kopieren, this is above soft light. And what it does, it merges both layers and combines the information. And now only these lines here from you've seen, which were emphasized, are applied to this image. And you can see the difference if I'm zooming into the layer mask. This is with the sharpening layer, and this is without. So all the details are enhanced, and you see a little more of the lines, and everything becomes tuck sharp. Good. This is the edit I wanted to show you. There's a lot more you can do. You can clean the bike even more. You can clean up this here and do all kinds of crazy stuff. But I think for the sake of this demonstration, this is well enough. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much, and see you next time. Bye.